Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for the introduction. I have to say, today for me is a very special day because I'm Italian, and I'm particularly from this region. I'm from Veneto, so I'm very happy to be back to my lands and to see that Diamond Partners, that I thanks very much, is able to organize such an outstanding conference. So, as it was just said, I'm a lawyer in Italy and in the US. I worked in the private and family office space for 10 plus years, and I co-authored recently a book titled Business Future, Navigating the Fourth Industrial Revolution. So today I have a big responsibility because I was assigned basically to open up the conference, and the topic I will discuss today is how AI is impacting businesses. But I think that this is a very, very big topic, right? So how AI is impacting businesses, it's something that in order to start talking about this, I thought, how can I tackle this? So I thought it's better to start putting things in context, right? So where are we now? In the last 120 years, if we think at the last 120 years of history of humanity, humanity experienced four main industrial revolutions. The first one being, the first industrial revolution being the one with the steam engines, factories, right? The second industrial revolution with steel production, electricity, chemistry. The third industrial revolutions with the internet, with computers, with microchips. And the fourth industrial revolution, the one I'm fascinated about, the one I'm really, really excited to study, excited to talk about, and excited to see where it will bring us. The fourth industrial revolution is the one we are living right now. It's characterized by robotics, Internet of Things, 3D printing, quantum computers, and last but not least, artificial intelligence. Now, artificial intelligence is with us not only now, it's with us from decades, right? It's not a news. But it's only a few years ago that it was put at the fingerprints of billions of people. So, in order to bring this home, answer the initial question, how AI is changing businesses, I tried to outline a list of areas in which AI is permeating today our lives and our businesses. So I think it's impressive to see how AI is already so present in our lives. It's already in our homes. If you think about virtual assistants, it's to our phones, our smartphones. It's already on our daily jobs, works, productivity. If you think about our emails, with the suggestions of answers or with the prediction of answers, right? Or with filtering of emails that could be relevant or less relevant for us. It's already in our shopping, e-commerce, with extremely sophisticated softwares that are able to suggest us what we would buy next, right? Then it is on our transportation, our travel, our GPS are AI-driven. Then healthcare, wellness, entertainment, social media, education, learning, security, law enforcement, and last but not least, in finance. And this is, of course, the area that interests us the most, because in these days we talk about finance. So, in finance, of course, AI is affecting the sector very much, starting from AI-driven tradings, from robotics, and from fraud detection. So AI is permeating our lives massively. So it's here, and we are already basically living with it on a daily basis. How AI will change the investment business? I thought it was useful to read this sentence. Imagine a world where financial markets operate without human traders, where your investment decisions are made in milliseconds by algorithms that never sleep, never doubt, never panic. Sounds like the future? Well, it is already happening. Some key factors. Over 70% of US stock trading is AI-driven. So my questions are we in control, or is AI controlling us? Can AI create wealth for everyone, or will it deepen financial inequalities? If I go too fast, you tell me, because I know there are the translators and I don't want to talk too fast. So please notify me if I'm talking too fast. So some brilliant example in finance of the use of AI, not just recent, but for decades. It's of course, for example, Ray Dalio with Bridgewaters. He's using AI for decades. I was listening to him just a few weeks ago at the World Economic Forum in Davos. And of course, the reason of his success is also AI. Another brilliant example of use of AI in finance is, of course, Renaissance technology, right? 66% of annual returns, a feat that no human trader could ever match. So, before I address these slides, I wanted to say that, I wanted to make a premise. I want to say I'm a tech optimist. I love technology, I studied technology, and I think that technology is the only tool we have in order to address the challenges that today we have to cope with, and that we will face. But when talking about technology in general, I think we cannot not talk about fears, risks, and challenges, right? Which are the major fears? Of course, we are afraid that AI could take our jobs, could replace us. There is who is saying that AI is simply eliminating some certain jobs. According to McKinsey, AI could disrupt 400 million jobs by 2030. According to the OECD, 27% of jobs are at risk of displacement. What is the impact on the financial industry? Trading floors that were composed by numbers of traders shrink to a few traders plus AI. It's simply cheaper and possibly more efficient. Robo-advisors, they already manage over 1.5 trillion of assets. So what happens to human wealth managers? But let's try to bring a little bit more optimism here, because AI creates also new roles. AI risk managers, AI compliance specialists, ethical AI experts. So we can try and think and build a future where humans are not versus AI, but humans are plus AI. Human and AI in synergy. So I'm sure you heard this sentence, but it's really relevant for me to repeat it here. AI won't replace humans, but humans who use AI will replace those who don't. What are the risks? When AI goes wrong, flash crashes. We had in 2010 flash crashes like AI-driven, swiped out 1 trillion in minutes, right? AI could misinterpret signals and trigger global collapses. AI learns from past data, but what if this data is biased? And another very important risk, and I'd like to have some scientists helping me corroborate this, because I'm not a scientist, but I know for sure that AI is a hungry animal. It requires a lot of energy to work. And a recent, very simple example, but very useful, I think, is a very recent data I learned is that whenever we prompt on our LLM models, a prompt, we ask a question to ChatGPT or other LLMs, every 4 prompts, we consume up to half a liter of water. And the question is, can we afford this? That's an enormous amount of energy consumption. So, how can we shape AI in finance? Where do we go from here? Governments are obviously scrambling to regulate. We have seen in Europe with the European Union Artificial Intelligence Act, in America with some certain policies debates. So each jurisdiction is trying their own way to regulate and cope with this with this new technology at the fingerprints of everyone. And I believe that finance, the financial industry, must balance speed versus safety and efficiency versus ethics. So a call to action is, AI is the most powerful financial tool ever created. But it is up to us, as working in the financial industry, to make sure that it serves humanity and not just the markets. Now, I will drift a little bit away, because that's also something we mention in the book, Business Future. I'm fascinated about the impact of AI in society. And there is a brilliant professor I had the honor of meeting, Max Tegmark, professor of artificial intelligence for 20 years at the MIT. He wrote this beautiful book called Life 3.0, where he tries, after researching for decades, to outline the possible scenarios that humanity will face if we take some certain decisions or other decisions. And his conclusions is in this slide. There are 12 potential scenarios. Some are very rosy scenarios. Some are middle-way scenarios, I would say. Some of them are really as well funny, I think. Like he says, humans are treated like animals in zoos and that just a few species survive. And then very drastic scenarios where superintelligence is created and basically humans self-destruct. Well, just food for thought. The one interested in the future of humanity after the, let's say, advent of the AI at the fingerprints of everyone. This is a wonderful, I think, AI opening book. Now, going towards the end of my presentation, I'd like also to address another topic that we talk about in the Business Future in the book, is the following topic. Since the advent of the internet, so coming back to my first slide, the third industrial revolution, right? Humans created kind of a parallel world. Let's call it a digital world. A world where humans uploaded a lot of interest. Our identities now lies on this digital world, parallel world. Imagine the new generations. The new generations care much more about their digital identity, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, than their real identity. We uploaded in this digital world our assets. Only 9% of the money in circulation is cash. All the rest is just a digital symbol. If we don't have electricity, if we don't have internet, we cannot access our online banking. So everything existing there. For the experts of intellectual property, they know that intangible assets nowadays are much more valuable than tangible assets. So, why do I say all of this? Because we created this parallel world, this digital world, where there is a lot at stake. There is a lot that we care of. Our passwords, I forgot to say, our passwords, they store a huge amount of data that are very valuable to us. So, this parallel world, I see a problem on that. I see the problem because our bodies, our mind, are used to live in a real world where we accomplish our physiological needs. And there is a friction because when we are in our real world, we need to take care of this parallel digital world where we have a lot at stake. And when we take care of this digital world where we have a lot at stake, imagine I'm just taking care of my identity online, I feel the need of go back and be in my physical, normal, real life. So this friction is something, this duality is something that humans were not used to cope with. And this friction is something we have to take into account navigating the fourth industrial revolution. And we believe that the one that will be able to treat this friction the best will be the one able to navigate the fourth industrial revolution more easily than others. It's not a coincidence, I think, that the new generations, if we look at the increasing trend of time spent in front of our screens, being a smartphone, a tablet, a computer, I don't care, whatever screen, as long as it's connected to the internet, there is an incremental time spent in front of the screen for the new generations, because of course they were born with technology, they were born when internet was already there, and they uploaded so much at stake that they need to stay attached to that. And this is kind of scary if we think about this, because this graphic shows that baby boomers, they spend on average 3 hours a day on their screens, but Generation Z, the people that is now in their 20s, 25, they spend 8 hours, but they think it's even more time in front of the screen to take care of this digital world, of this digital new reality that we created. And I listened recently to a very beautiful interview by Eric Schmidt, the ex-CEO of Google, who said that in AI, there are a couple of things that are about to come that will be massive. One is certainly AGI, artificial general intelligence. So when artificial intelligence will basically have the same intelligence of humans. But another big thing is agents. Agents are essentially applications, very smart applications, experts in very specific domains, that are able to work for us 24/7. So we are able to instruct these agents, and they accomplish actions on our behalf. Why am I saying so? Because perhaps, thanks to these agents, but this is a theory, let's see if we are right, thanks to agents, we will be able to delegate to them all of this work we are now doing to take care of our digital life will be given to them. And as humans, we'll be able to go back to our real life, normal lives, that our bodies, our minds are built for and more comfortable with. I'd like to close with a famous quote that resonates, I think, with every single times of human history, is the quote by Charles Darwin in his theory of evolution. It's not the smartest species that survive. It is not the most intelligent one, but is the one that better adapt to the changes. And as humans are very good at adapting changes, that's why we are here. If you wish to know more, Business Future, Navigating the Fourth Industrial Revolution, thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Silvia Andreotto, for this incredible presentation. Now, again, there's space for a few questions from you, so use the number that you just saw. I'll start with a couple of questions, Silvia. The first one is, you know very well, how the US works in terms of also the relation between tech and law and how Europe works. And so my sensation is that there's a decoupling that is going on. There's a wide distance, there's a gap between what the US is deciding to do. I was mentioning President Trump executive order on digital asset and the financial technology, and what Europe here is doing with its regulation. Completely opposite approaches. On one hand, for example, the US, Trump, has forbidden to use digital dollar. So central bank, digital currency are forbidden in the US. While Fabio Panetta, the central bank governor of Italy, just on Saturday said, what's the response in Europe to stable coins? Stable coins means nothing to us. The response here will be the digital euro, for example. And then what he's saying is that we protected separating banks from digital assets from the crashes we had in the past. So what do you think is going to happen for them, for the industry here, for the clients, for financial advisor, given the fact that the US is running and Europe is taking the completely different stance?
Yeah, this is a question I heard very often. Actually, recently when I was in Davos at the World Economic Forum, we were talking all about the AI and the difference of approach between the US and Europe. Of course, Europe looks at the US with a little bit of envy because they are able to accomplish, results, to achieve results that in Europe are hard to achieve. But on the other hand, I think the US looks at how Europe is able to regulate with envy. So there is a reciprocal respect. because that's true. The European Union AI Act is a very strict act. I think that in Europe we are over-regulating and we are under-investing, reason also why there is much less funding for innovation and venture capital in Europe than there is in the US, right? But I think that there is kind of mutual respect in some certain ways, because whenever other jurisdictions start to approach this new animal to regulate, they look at the European Union as a pilot case. It is true, it's over-regulating, it is really strict, and in some parts it hinders innovation. But at least it is a starting point. I mean, we have to start somewhere. And I think that in Europe, so far, we made a good job. There are, of course, a lot of improvements that can be made. But all other jurisdictions are looking with interest at how in Europe we are trying to cope and regulate this animal. As I was saying in the presentation, it's one of the most powerful tools at the disposal of humans, and now more than ever, at the beginning of the use the fingerprints of everyone, we need to regulate it well. If we do it in 10 years, it will be too late. So, very strong pilot case, the European Union AI Act, but we needed something like this, at least to show to the world that it's possible to control.
Yeah, just two flashes before we let you go. The first one comes from the audience, and the question is, how do you see the Italian standpoint in terms of regulation, and how do they monitor the market? Because then in Europe we have national regulators, we have Quant, for example, in Italy, and so on. What's your sense on the Italian approach on digital assets?
Well, of course, Italy is part of the European Union, right? So Italy has a little bit of margin of negotiation, but then it needs to adapt to whatever the European Union, imposes. So I think that we will, like all the other European states, will simply have to comply with everything that the European Union suggests and imposes as a regulation. So we have a little bit of margin. I see a lot of interest, actually. I'm a member of a very interesting association for the regulation of artificial intelligence in Italy, and there are a lot of brilliant experts there that are studying it very deeply. But again, we are a European Union, so there is little we can do that different than what comes from as a directive, right?
All right.
From the top.
On Monday morning, we're going to speak with the head of the Italian market watchdog regulator, Paolo Savona from Conso, Bond, Class CNBC. And so if you're interested in, you can listen to that at 10 a.m. in the morning. And final question from the room here, Silvia, is how do you see the blending of human brains and computing power? As you know, with the Elon Musk company, Neuralink, we've been talking lots and lots on the combination of human brains and computing power. Do you see this as the future?
Yeah, this is an interesting question, and actually in the book of Max Tegmark, the professor I was mentioning, he also addresses this question. Because he believes that perhaps in 20 years from now there will be more and more cyborgs around. So a kind of, it's a little bit science fiction, but I don't know. Perhaps not that much science fiction, in which humans will be partially cyborgs and partially humans, in which there will be someone that will be a hybrid with some implantation of chips, artificial intelligence-driven tools that can augment their intelligence. So perhaps science fiction, but we are seeing nowadays so many extraordinary things happening that I would not be surprised if this is not just science fiction.
Well, let me tell you that we already changed. Since we use this more than 10 hours per day, also our brain has changed from a physiological point of view. So it's just a question of time when we will integrate more. The point is who's going to have control of what we do and how we do it. All right.
Absolutely.
Silvia Andreotto, thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you at Quant
Thank you.
2025.
Thank you very much.